All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. A reminder, coming up in hour number 2, Michael Avenatti. That's right. Time to get in the ring with Michael. He'll be joining us in hour number 2, and we will be taking your calls. We're talking right now about Senator Rand Paul. And by the way, a reminder, I like to remind our listeners, we're moving 9 a.m. to noon starting August 12th, where Michael Avenatti will be joining us in studio for the entire show, so that'll be fun as well. Talking about Republican Senator Rand Paul, that's right. I will always call this man a piece of garbage for what he did today. He is postponing a bill that would have passed, that would have given the 9/11 responders what they needed as far as medical help, financial help, and then he brought up fiscal responsibility, and we're going to take some calls on this, and then we're going to move on to this Donald Trump campaign rally in North Carolina. 257-5396. Let's go to Mike. Mike, what's going on?
Hello, Mr. Shapiro and Mr. Sharp. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, Mike.
Doing great.
Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
You know what? The systematic failure to cover our national defenders and protectors is one of the most disgusting, despicable, and frustrating issues that has doomed this country.
Mike, I could not agree with you more.
Absolutely believe that every president, right on down the line, I love Trump, but he's dropped the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Barack Obama murdered our troops when they came back, and Stumpy Bush was the worst.
Mike, you are a breath of fresh air. Okay, first of all, I don't necessarily agree. I don't know if Obama murdered, but certainly Obama fell short. I agree with you. So, Mike, let me ask you this. Some of these callers that are calling in that are obviously Trump supporters like yourself, I appreciate your intellectual honesty. What would you say to some of these callers? I don't know if you heard the first segment where somebody calls in and says, well, it sucks for them. And then somebody calls me a liberal because I want to take care of these responders. What do you say to them who I assume are Republicans like yourself?
Well, those are cheap shots, Brian, absolutely. I'm an independent. I hate the Republicans and Democrats alike, brother. But I'm an independent on the libertarian side.
Yep.
But I am absolutely shocked at these Trump people. Are you guys blind? I mean, I love my president. I voted for him. But I, like the Reverend will say, I'll hold that son of a gun, son of a bitch to the honest answer. We want honest answers from our questions. Why are you dropping the ball on our veterans and our first responders? And 9/11 Tower, in my opinion, was planned by Bush, and not just Bush.
Well, I don't know. I hear you, Mike. Listen, Mike.
I got one question. Did you see Tower 7, the demolition of
Yes,
Tower
I did,
7
and that was very Mike, I have studied 9/11, and by the way, I have to get to some other callers, but I meant it, Mike, when I said you are a breath of fresh air, and I'm so glad you called. Thank you so much. In regards to 9/11 and Building 7, look, there's a lot of suspicious things that happened. Is there a possibility that people within our government knew that 9/11 was going to happen? I'm not going to sit here and say no. I'm not really a conspiracy type person, but boy, a lot of weird things happened. Even the days after, flying out the bin Laden family out of the country. Why the hell would George W. Bush do that? Yes, there are a lot more questions that have never been answered before. So I'm not going to, disparage what you were saying. I just don't know. 257-5396. Seth, you're next. What's going on? Seth. Did we lose Seth? Okay, let's go to Marge. Marge, good to hear from you. What's going on?
Hi. Congratulations on your expanded time.
Thank you, Marge. I appreciate
Thanks a lot,
that.
Marge.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Relative to Dr. Rand, I mean, he is a doctor. He should be a little bit more compassionate and understand what's going on with people.
Yeah, amen. Yeah.
Secondly, I think he was on a ball field a couple of years ago practicing baseball with some other senators, and I think there was a shooting that occurred.
Yes, there was. Yes.
So should those Capitol Police that were there just stand aside and let them all be shot?
That is such an amazing point. I'm so glad you're talking about Scalise when he was shot and almost lost his life. And how about those first responders? And all the Republicans were praising those first responders. Is this the way we treat people like that, Marge? That is such a great point.
And Rand was impacted, too, at that time.
Absolutely.
Plus the amount of money we're talking about is what, $10 billion or something like that.
Right.
It's over a period of time. It's not
over
all
70 years. Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing is these guys are going out on their wonderful vacation come August.
Yep.
So now it gets delayed until September when the bill's going to come up for finance at the end of September. So it's a game. In the meantime, I mean, what happened to patriotism in this country? I mean,
it's gone, Marge. Marge, you know? It is. You make so many great points. It's gone. It's gone in this country. If there's anybody that we should be taking care of, obviously besides kids, first responders. I mean, that should be at the top of our priority list, Marge. And the fact that people are calling in and actually agree with Rand Paul, and you want to talk about fiscal responsibility, when this is the scumbag, yes, I'm going to call Rand Paul a scumbag, whether people like it or not, that voted in a $1.5 trillion bill for the rich. And he had no problem with that. Marge, you make a lot of sense. I'm so glad you called in. Good to hear from you. Thank you so much. 257-5396. Let's go to Brian. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, Brian.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
Good,
well.
Brian. What's up?
I just want to ask a few questions. You know, first responders work for the city of New York, the county, and all of that. They're union people. And it's been my experience that these people have Cadillac health care policies.
Typically, union members do have outstanding, and state employees do have outstanding health benefits.
While that is true, I also know.
So my question
go ahead.
Is this.
Yes.
If they have these really good, I mean, I'm talking fine. I'm a union worker myself. I had a great health insurance when I worked. And so they are covered. This happened 18 years ago.
Yes, it did.
Okay, so it's not like there's people hanging on the edge of death here waiting for this money right now.
That's not true.
They've been cared for the last 18 years by their Cadillac health care policy, and they should have them. They're the best and bravest amongst us. And I'm not saying anything about whether they should or not receive this money right now. All I'm saying is there's got to be more to the story than what we're hearing.
Then why have we not heard it then? Then why have we not heard it then? All Senator Rand Paul wanted to talk about today was fiscal responsibility. He also said the same thing on social media, and he's been blasted, and rightfully so. He should be blasted.
I heard a story this morning, first up when I got up this morning on a news program. They said that there were problems with the bill's accountability. It wasn't just fiscal responsibility, but there were some loopholes and things in this bill that were not specified that money could just,
okay,
be
so Brian, let's take your side on this.
Accountability.
Fair enough.
So,
let me take your side on this then. Let's just say that's the case. Then why is it 99.9% of politicians are for getting this bill passed immediately, and Rand Paul is one of two that is? Why is that? If there were so many alarming things,
I don't know.
But
that,
Brian, don't you think that's that's a fair question though? Don't you think? If there were,
I do think it is.
Yeah.
But,
all right. Yeah.
But you keep characterizing, the president's tax bill as only for the rich and famous and powerful. Well, I'm on the lowest end of the spectrum, and I saved a lot of money on my taxes this year.
Okay. Well, you get the reference and the point I'm trying to make. I got to get to some other callers, Brian. Always good to hear from you.
He does make a great point when he states that union workers do have great, and state workers, they typically do have great benefits.
But in some of these instances,
in some of the instances, maybe they require more money than others.
They don't have the right life insurance policy.
Is it possible that this fund is being doled out in actual checks? And
that I don't know.
These people,
I doubt it.
And these first responders are being enriched.
No.
Outside of an insurance
If that
policy.
was the case, then somebody would have said that. That's for sure. 257-5396. Paul, you're next. Paul, go ahead.
Why do you call them first responders when most of this money is going to the 10,000 people who filed claims against New York?
That's not true. This bill, this first responders. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. This bill is to help the men and women that bravely responded to 9/11, them and their families. I don't know what
How many people can that be?
Tens of thousands. Like you just said.
People went inside the 9/11 buildings?
Paul, with all due respect, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I appreciate the call, but you have absolutely no idea what you are saying. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe our next caller, if I'm not mistaken, is John. John, what's going on?
Yes, sir. You said you grew up near Ground Zero?
I grew up close. I grew up in Connecticut. I went to Ground Zero several days after. I was actually staying at the hotel several weeks before 9/11 happened, and my uncle lives on East 65th between 1st and 2nd. So you're damn right it impacted me, and I know people that were in those buildings.
Yeah, so I picked up a surgeon at St. Rose,
yes, sir.
a lady doctor.
Yes.
and she said she caught breast cancer. She lived 2 blocks from ground zero. From the dust, she caught cancer. And she told me she believes her cancer doctor was murdered. And she was really upset. And I heard a report 3 years ago on public radio.
Yes.
That all the alternative medicine doctors, the holistic doctors on both sides of our borders are being murdered.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, if you can catch me on Twitter at the Vegas Take, send me a direct message. I've never heard that before, but I'm willing to listen.
Really?
If you have more information that you would share with me, I will absolutely 100% look into that, John. Again, check us out on Twitter at the Vegas Take. Send me a direct message. I will absolutely read about that, and if there's something to it, I will. But I'm going to be honest with you, I've never heard that before. I'll take one more call on this issue. Let's go to Dan.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good, Dan. What's up?
How's everything?
Good, Dan. What's going on?
I have a quick question. You guys are moving to 9 a.m.?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, man, you guys are the best show after at this time.
I appreciate that, Dan. Well, hey, let me ask you this. Will you promise me that you'll switch over and listen to us?
9 a.m.?
9 a.m. to noon. 9 a.m. to noon, right. Dan. Come on, you got to wake up early for us, man.
We're moving to a primetime slot, and we're adding an hour.
Yes.
Regarding this issue with the 9/11 first responders, I was a NYPD cop in New York, and
Thank you for your service for this country.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. I got out on an accidental disability, and when you get out accidental disability, you get what's known as 3/4.
Right.
Which is 75% of your
salary. Right. Which I think he absolutely deserves.
Well, yeah, they do, and I appreciate that. When you get out on a federal event, such as the 9/11 issue event, you get 100% of your final average salary, and you get full medical. My medical bill every month is like $3 a month. So I think it's prudent to question what occurs within this bill, but at the same time, I'm torn between supporting the people that I know that went into the building.
This is an emotional situation. There's no doubt, but we know that people are dying. Some of these responders are losing their lives, Dan, and that's why there is a sense of urgency. At the very least, if Rand Paul, got on a stage today and said, "Listen, for anybody that is in dire straits, for anybody that is in desperate need, let's put this bill forward. But then in a month from now, let's put something in this bill where we can readdress some of the concerns that I have when it comes to fiscal responsibility." Even then, I would disagree with it, but I'd say, okay, at least he wants to take care of the people that are in desperate need of help. You see what I'm saying, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my big part. Well, thank you again for being a police officer and serving and protecting my man. We appreciate you listening to the show. And
I wish you would stay at 6 o'clock.
Well, while I appreciate that, Dan, it's a great opportunity to move 9 a.m. to noon. We get to expand the show an hour, and we do hope that loyal listeners like yourself will switch over, my friend.
You're going against Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, I'm ready, my man. Trust me, Dan.
You know what?
I am ready.
Wait. What's his name again?
Have a great day.
Thank you, Dan.
What's this conservative host's name in the 9 to noon slot that we're going against?
I believe his name is Rush Limbaugh. He does not like African-American quarterbacks, last I heard. That is his name. And I'd tell Rush he needs to eat a salad. Anyway, I want to play this audio real quickly, and then we're going to have Michael Avenatti coming up here in a few minutes. This is this kind of stuff I'm talking about. We had a few callers that would chant out when it comes to Omar. They would put out a chant like this. So Donald Trump is speaking in Raleigh, North Carolina today. And this was just like an hour ago. So he's talking about Representative Omar, who, by the way, I do not support. I don't like her for a lot of different reasons, but that's even here nor there. So I want to play this audio, and I want you to listen to the chant at this rally for Donald Trump.
And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
If you guys can't understand what a bunch of racist idiots in the crowd in North Carolina are saying, they're saying, send her back. You can disagree with Omar. I've criticized her many a times on this show. She has said some things that could easily be construed as anti-Semitic. Send her back. And by the way, when you look at that crowd, it's just a bunch of white hicks, as far as I'm concerned, especially the ones that were chanting that.
Let me ask you this. When you say white hicks, is that racist?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In this situation, I think it's warranted. If you are dumb enough, living in North Carolina.
So you're fighting racism with racism?
I suppose I'm giving them an insult.
Okay.
It's an
right.
insult.
Fair enough.
I'm insulting them. I guess I'm stooping down to their intelligence, I guess you could say. Absolutely. Listen. If you are living in North Carolina, you're a Trump supporter, I got no problem with you. But if you are white, living in North Carolina, a Trump supporter, showing up to a rally, chanting to a woman who is brown, send her back. Send her back. Yeah, I'm going to call you a hick and a racist. And the worst, this is what's worst about this, folks. This is the worst, the thing that really puzzles me. Donald Trump is standing right there. Donald Trump is standing right there. You could continue that speech about Omar. I don't have a problem with that. Donald Trump could have stopped and said, folks, we're not sending her back. She's a U.S. citizen. She was sent here as a teenager and a refugee. No, she shouldn't be forced to leave the country. Donald Trump could have said that. He could have. But he won't do that. Why? Because he's Donald Trump. Because he has no conscience. Because he's okay. He's speaking to his base. Send her back.
Actually, his base was yelling at him.
Send her back. I'm going to take a quick phone call.
He did tell the truth. She was making very anti-Semitic remarks. She also has not denounced Antifa or Al-Qaeda since she's been a congresswoman. I don't think she's fit to be a congresswoman. Okay, I don't think you do either, Brian.
But that's a separate conversation. I don't disagree with you. I completely don't disagree with you. But you know what I disagree with? The crowd, the chant. I disagree with that. I hope you do too.
Well, the problem is, again, she was born, I believe she was born in the United States, was she?
No. She was sent here as a refugee as a teenager.
Okay,
She's a U.S. citizen. She's a U.S. citizen. Okay. We only have a couple more minutes before we get to break. We'll take one more phone call. Chuck, what's going on?
Hey, Chuck.
Hey, so why would you lower yourself and call these people white hicks?
Well, because I think that's what they are. I'm going to call out a racist. They're white hicks.
Well, I'm not a white hick, but I believe she should be gone out of the office.
That is completely, sure. Chuck, we agree. That is a completely different scenario. Chuck, Chuck, that's different, though. I agree with you.
I'm also quite Caucasian,
Chuck,
and I agree with you.
Could I ask you a question, Chuck? If you were at that rally, would you have said, send her back? Would you have chanted that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No, it does. It does.
No, it does.
Yes, it does. Because if you chant send her back, you have no class and you're a racist. I'm not calling you that, Chuck. I'm just trying to get you to understand where I'm coming from.
Well, can't you understand where everyone else is coming from?
No, not for people that chant that. No.
She says nothing but negative stuff about the United
Fine.
States.
Then what you said, fine. I agree. And I'm with you. That's what I'm trying to say. Why are you trying to convince me? I don't like her. I don't think she should be in Congress. I think she said anti-Semitic remarks. Ignorant. Racist, whatever you want to call her. I'm okay with that. But don't chant, send her back. That sets a horrible precedence.
I got no problem with people who are in Congress and they want to make things better for the people of the United States. But when they're so anti-America like
Chuck,
these four ladies are,
okay.
But you know what? Maybe she should go back to her country.
All right. I was waiting. I was waiting for that, Chuck. I was waiting for you to say that.
But is that really racist? She wasn't born here. She came here. She's running for Congress.
It's absolutely racist.
Is she trying to make the United States like the country that she comes from?
No,
if she doesn't like it here, if she really does not like the United States that much, then what is she doing here? That's a legitimate question.
We will ask Michael Avenatti that coming up next. Michael Avenatti will be joining us next. We will ask him this specific question, and we will get back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. FM, 720 AM KDWN.